Hey guys, hello everybody. How are we doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I'm Jack Austin. This is the Alter Ego Podcast, and with me, as always, Mr. Mark,
It's Mark.
Justin,
What's good?
and that's it, right? That's it.
That's
Nah.
it. There's
Is that
nobody
everybody?
else here. Whose voice is that?
Hello.
Hi.
It's the beautiful, talented Megan Austin, my
Heyo.
wife. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Let's give it up for Megan.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not
thank you.
clapping. That's not me.
Well,
That's me.
Okay, Mark. Okay. Welcome to another episode. What are we doing today? Today, as we have 4 people, we're doing what usually would be a top 10, but since we have so many people, we're going to do a top 5. Top 5 what? Marvel villains. No, this does not mean MCU. This does not mean just comics. If it's a Marvel property and they're a bad guy and they're on your top 5, we want to hear about it. And after the fact, you should probably hit us up on Facebook or Twitter or whatever outlet you found here and tell us what your top 5 is, because we really want to know. Truly, honestly, tell us. If you don't tell us, we will find you and obliterate you.
So I am curious how many out of our top 5, like, we should have 20.
We should.
But I'm feeling like
There's
at
gonna
the
be a
end
lot
of
of
this,
similarities.
there's
There's
going to be like
gonna-
11.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of run over, and I
top
actually am ready for that. So I just, before we get into it, I wanted to ask, because my wife and I have been talking about this for a couple of days, because she has been ravagely, that's not a word, rapidly.
it's something.
Ravagely.
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 He does
She's
line.
been torgidly researching all of these people.
Okay, you make me sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe I should preface.
No, you are thorough.
Honey,
I am
difference.
thorough.
Honey, when people listen to this, everyone that listens to this podcast will be an expert on all things Marvel, and they will critique you heavily.
That's what I'm expecting. That's why
Yeah,
you're making me sound
not
like
case.
the dumb
Not
guy in
case.
the room.
No. Well, everybody's different, right? I was heavily MCU influenced. I do a lot of comics, a lot of
Same.
video games. I
You
know
said
you
do-do.
read a lot of comics. Mark. No, we'll give Mark one of these.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Hot button. Justin, you've done both. You've done MCU and comics.
I usually favor comics over MCU.
Yeah.
Because they take a lot of liberties with the MCU.
But-
I agree.
I don't think anybody would say that Megan is any less of a fan than us because she knows mainly MCU,
Not at all.
right? Exactly. So what I wanted to ask is, what were your criteria when you were picking your list? I mean, was it power level? Is it how they look? Is it who their villains? You know what I mean? Like the villain, is it who they're going against?
That's the thing, because I was looking into a lot of different ways to really figure out this list. And
Yeah.
what I really boiled it down to is because you can do like Omega level, you can go into all this different stuff, but it was how enjoyable they are when I'm reading their stories. If I can
Bam.
find multiple layers to
Bingo.
the story rather than, I'm going to blow up the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
A very complex character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Character complexity. One of the things I threw into mine was, and this heavily weighed into a couple of my guys on would I want to face this person if I was said hero? You know what I mean? If it was me and my desired superpowers, would I want to see this person across the field from me?
Your desired superpower flying out of the DMV.
That's right. Shout out to episode 1.
Easy,
So yeah.
Take it easy.
So that being said, I think we'll go through our top 5 from 5 to 1.
Oh, did Justin and I not get to talk about our criteria? Is that
Please, let's do it.
No, mine was basically his. It's all like not necessarily the most ridiculous story, but the pretty fucked up stories.
Yeah.
That's usually what I based mine
the
on.
stuff with depth?
Fucked up stories. Define fucked up.
You'll see when I
Okay, all right.
break
He's
it
gonna get
down.
into
We'll
it.
jump into it. Yeah, okay. So how about yours?
Well, since I'm MCU driven more so, I didn't really grow up reading comics, but I know a lot about the characters that are in the MCU, and I've heard plenty about other characters that are obviously have not been portrayed in the MCU, even though they probably at this point should have been. I based it off of a couple things. I would say aesthetics and badassery, because that's important. And mine was more like, if I was a supervillain, who would I want to be? Like, kind of like who I would embody. If I could be like a badass supervillain, who would I want to be?
Sounds
that was
evil.
kind of what I was thinking. Yeah. But I really like the. I mean, you'll kind of
Everybody's
see.
like,
in my
well,
list
now we
too.
see a little bit into your home life, Jack.
Oh boy,
I like
Jack,
the
knock
power.
twice if you're not okay.
Yeah, I like the power and the brute type people. So you'll
Yeah.
kind of see that in my list too. But I went with like favorite and badassery as well. But yeah, it was a collaboration of things.
I kind of like all those answers personally. Yeah, mine was mainly would I want to see this person and how cool is their story and do I relate to them at all? For me was another one. So, all right, without further ado, I say we'll jump into number 5. Cinco?
Are we gonna do this all around? Like 5,
Yeah,
5,
let's
5?
do it like that.
Okay.
We'll do 5, 5, 5, 5, you know, all that jazz.
5, 5.
What order should we go? Should we start with Mark? Oh, you know
no.
what?
Why don't we? Start
This is
with
my
you?
favorite.
Oh,
Let's start with the guest.
there we go.
Oh,
Bingo.
Like
okay.
it.
And am I diving into kind of why, or am I just saying it?
Definitely
Like,
do
how
the
much
why.
time do I got?
Who and why?
Definitely
Okay.
do the why.
Definitely do the why.
Because
Yeah.
I'm like 5 hours deep in research, folks.
No, just say their name and then next.
We got time.
It's
Really?
a 10-minute podcast.
Okay.
Sorry.
He couldn't help himself.
I couldn't.
Okay.
I see
so
the bright lights and I got
Number 5.
coming in at number 5 was Dark Phoenix.
Dark
Ooh.
Phoenix.
Yeah, she's pretty badass. I mean, not only is Jean Grey the very first, and of course she's not the villain here, but Jean Grey is the first female.
Jean Grey's not on trial here.
No, she's not. Be nice. But anyway, she was the first female X-Man, and she was the first to be actually affected by the Phoenix Force, which is pretty cool.
Right.
But so the Dark Phoenix, I'm sure half the room knows at least, that she, like, Jean Grey is already a super powerful mutant, and the Dark Phoenix enhances all of her abilities. So it's pretty badass. And I'm, like, super into fire and telekinesis and that shit. And it
She
all
is.
just-
She is the Dark Phoenix.
I mean, like, she embodies some cool shit, but, I mean, she eats suns. Like, what is that?
Yeah, I mean,
mean,
she's got a big appetite.
S-U-Ns, right?
One of the things that I did learn about.
S-U-N.
Okay, just make
Not like children.
Yeah. Yeah.
So have you
Yeah.
ever seen Jean Grey in like animation or live action or anything like? Or I'm sorry, Dark Phoenix. Have you seen like the
I
cartoon?
did not see the most current movie that came out. I haven't seen any like animation either. I saw Dark Phoenix when it was like the first time she was presented with. I don't remember who the actress was, but the first time.
in X3.
I don't
I
either.
think it was X3, where it was who was the actress? I can't even remember.
I don't
what
know.
she looks like.
Yeah,
I
I
do
got her.
too.
I got her image.
And in
Here,
all honesty-
hold on. We've got the Google.
Well, they can't see it. You Google, I'll
tell
talk.
them
You
about
gotta
it.
play the Google song.
The Google song.
Is that what that is?
Google the song.
All right, guys, let's look a little Dark Phoenix up.
Dark Pahonix.
All right. Anyway, we're
But
done with
anyways,
this.
but
Join
I
myself.
don't really know much about her in like the comic realm,
Yeah.
but I do feel like this, from what I've kind of read into, because she honestly might not have made my top list had I not put time in to her. But
No,
she,
you
like,
did well with that pick.
Oh, that's a great
she-
pick.
I know,
The
I-
Phoenix Force is nigh
But if I
omnipotent.
just went off of like, oh, the ones I know, I was very MCU driven. I was very, the obvious, which I'm not going to say them because half of them are probably on my list.
So the one you're
But-
not talking about was Sophie Turner.
Yeah, the most recent. that
She was the
in
most
Game of
recent,
Thrones.
but that's not who
That's
we're
what
talking
I'm
about.
talking about. I'm
But
talking
that's
about
the one I
before
found
her.
first.
But anyway, like I feel like her embodiment of that character is similar to the way that she was portrayed in the research that I did in the comics, to where like she comes out of the water and she's like crazy and insane. Like that's what I was reading about her, and I feel like that was portrayed pretty well in that movie. I'm not a super fan of all the X-Men films so
Famke
far.
Janssen.
Sure. But anyway, as the
That
Dark
lady.
Phoenix,
The Dark Venus.
the Dark Phoenix,
The Dark Venus.
she is immortal, pyrokinesis, resurrection, energy absorption, molecular reconstruction, flight at super speeds. Like, she's supersonically awesome.
She's got some
So
stuff. All
she's
right,
fucking
all right.
cool.
Right.
And I'm honestly, like, a part of me was like, I don't know if we're going to hear any females from these guys. So that was part
Yeah,
of it.
that was another thing for me, is because I was looking through this and I was like, you know what? I should probably add, because spoiler alert, there's no females on my list.
Me
And
neither.
when I was looking through it, I was like,
Well,
I should probably add one. And I said, no, this is my list.
And
Nothing
when-
against the
and
ladies.
it's nothing about that either. It's
Right.
just because when you're a little
Right.
kid growing up, you're not like, oh man, Black Widow's
Yeah.
so badass.
Very
You're the
specifically.
girl. You know what I mean? Like,
Girls
that's
are
what
gross.
our kids called Black Widow.
I don't know if I told this
The
story
girl.
in here yet, but when we built bunk beds for the boys. We got them Avengers covers and all this stuff. And Avengers had just come out, and we put stickers all over the room. And they came in and they were like so excited.
They were like 3 and 4.
Whoa!
Not
Captain
even.
America, Iron Man, the girl, Hulk.
So in
have
that
swear.
moment where you just like, we raised them right.
Yep.
So I wasn't like trying to say like a sexist thing.
Right.
Like you guys are going to pick females, but who you've always loved and aspired is not most likely going to be the women.
Right.
So of course,
It's
for
nice
me,
to have that perspective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just adding a little.
Girls are
flavor.
gross.
They are.
We all agree on that. Even you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Girls are gross.
But
It's a
we're
unanimous
secretly gross. We hide our grossness. Well.
Some.
Yeah, you
sure,
ever
sure you
Some.
do.
You ever check the center console of a girl's car? There's so much shit in there.
Oh my
like
word!
sticky and
I've seen some shit.
All right.
anyways.
So,
So yeah,
roading-
Dark Phoenix is my
Over to Justin.
As he
Sorry about
takes
that.
a
I
sip.
was taking a sippy sip.
It's all right.
For my fifth, it would be not the original Sabretooth, well, the 1980 Sabretooth. Because he was basically just a mindless killing machine at that point. Like, he would just do that shit for
Yeah.
fun. And, like, to top it off, what made him one of my, like, what made him one of my favorites and landed him at 5 was every single year on Wolverine's birthday, he will track Wolverine down on his birthday and
Yep.
whoop his ass.
And fight
It's
it
so good.
1980.
every single year.
Well, they're
In 1 year,
brothers,
he
right?
killed.
Aren't
Huh?
they brothers?
That's only in the movie. They're not actually
Oh.
brothers. Like, they're cut from the same cloth, so to speak.
Okay.
Like how
Exactly.
we
They've
allegedly
been
like
through the
evolved
same-
from animal or from monkeys. They evolved from like dogs.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So like they come from the same tribe.
Okay.
But like there were such knockdown, drag out fights back then. Like they
Yeah.
were just like slashing and ripping like hunks of flesh off each other. It was ridiculous.
And it's
like,
one of those
"Happy
things where
birthday."
nobody's going to come in and say, "Okay, break it up, guys."
Yeah.
They're going to let them go until they decide it's over.
Talk about somebody you don't want to like see on the battlefield. Fuck that. If I saw
Yeah.
the same people, like, all right, guys.
All right, guys.
fight till
sorry,
it's
X-Men,
not
I'm
his
fucking
birthday.
out.
Quick
Like,
question: can he outrun a Volvo? Because I'm about to jump in this bitch and drive away. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's
MCU,
a
they're
great
all
one.
Audis,
I like.
so.
You know what though? It's also something, and I thought he was portrayed 2 different ways in the movies he was portrayed in. I thought the first guy that you owe me a scream. I was like, oh my god, get this out of here. I hate this. He looked good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like the way he looked, but the second
He
dude who
looked
played
good.
him, acting phenomenal.
Liev Schreiber playing him in the movie, I was like, ooh, this is good. I really like this. And I thought the there's kind of, he has a sense of honor about him too.
He
I mean,
does. Later
in-
him, yes.
In certain regards, like in Death of Wolverine, where he's sitting on Jim's grave, drinking beers. Hey man, this is for you. I hated you, but I love you.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I really,
You the realist.
yeah.
Even though
I
you
liked
did kill
it.
my wife.
Spoiler alert, he's my number 5 too.
Is he really? That's what's up.
And that's the first occasion of that.
Sabretooth coming in at 5.
And the fact that they align in the same number is just
Two hard
that was
fives.
my number 5. As soon as you said that, I was like, he's not gonna. And he goes Sabretooth. I was like, wow, okay,
So that's the guest
it's a
star.
special bond.
He has not been
real.
telling me. We've been talking about this for a couple days.
She's
like
been
he said,
asking
and
me.
I've been like, I know
Nope.
the top 4, but the 5th one was killing me. He's like, he's a surprise.
I'm not telling you.
Wild card.
Well, guys, guess who my top 5 is?
I swear to God.
We've been waiting all day for your 5th one, Mark.
But is it
We've been
Sabretooth?
sitting out here saying,
I was gonna be like mind blown.
all right. Let's
Well,
see.
so far we're X-Men.
I
heavy.
have a feeling I
number
know
5.
where you're gonna go, but I don't know. Okay. Anyway, I'm not gonna. Go ahead. Let's listen to number 5.
My number 5 is Norman Osborn.
Yeah,
the Green Goblin.
I knew it. I didn't know it was going to be Green Goblin, but I thought for sure it was going to be a Spider-Man villain.
Oh, my
He's an
list
honorable
is Spider-Man
mentions.
X-Men. That's my list.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Awesome.
But
Oopsies.
okay, so some of my fondest memories of comic books are from the early days when I watched X-Men the animated series and Spider-Man the animated series. That's what launched me into comic books.
Yeah.
So we talked about that on the first episode. That kind of launched me into realizing, oh, these are characters from comic books that I can read on a monthly basis. So I'm obviously Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, in Spider-Man the animated series. Fantastic. I love it. And then you go into the Tobey Maguire, and then you know what? I didn't mind it. I liked
That's
it.
good. That's good. I'm glad you liked it.
I mean, I hate his big motorcycle
I thought
helmet, but-
that. Yeah, I thought they could have done a better job with somebody like Willem Dafoe,
He has a
playing
goblin face.
Green Goblin. I was like, dude, he's gonna be great. And then I see the Power Rangers outfit, and I was like, stop it. This is not legit right now.
And the saddest thing is they really had something nice set up for him.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, I'm Googling anything. Green Goblin.
Oh.
Original. costume.
I forget what show we use this for.
This
But,
one now.
This one now.
I don't have Wi-Fi, don't.
Okay,
but originally,
great.
they
That
had a
was
great
cool.
Here,
animatronic
you can use my
head
phone.
that actually looked extremely comic accurate
Yeah.
for that, and they abandoned it last minute for the motorcycle helmet. So
I thought they could have just used his face.
yeah, he has a
He
goblin
has a
face.
goblin face. He does.
And they could have. They did a great job with the other young man, who's a phenomenal actor from Chronicle, and he's also been in a bunch of
Vin
other
Diesel?
stuff.
No.
Yes. Chronicles of Vin Diesel.
You're talking about his son.
No,
Oh.
Chin Diesel.
no, Vin Diesel. I can't think of his name, but sure, we'll
Look
Google
at
it.
that!
That would have been so much better.
Look at that!
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's so
Definitely
dope.
more
much
true to
better.
the
Yeah,
character.
that would have been good.
Yeah, they call when I was upon my research that Goblin is like the Marvel Joker, and I was like, man, that drives
That is
me to
pretty
London.
accurate.
Just because he has that,
Yeah.
sort of feel.
And he's
Yeah.
he's an industrialist.
Yep.
He's super smart. He has the
Very
resources.
smart,
So
yep.
he's like a reverse Tony Stark in certain ways. So
Found out Peter Parker was Spider-Man.
Spiderman.
Spiderman. I like the for my own, well, I guess we'll wait till honorable mentions because like he did make it.
His
but it
name
wasn't
is
that
Dane-
one. It was the
Dane
ultimate one.
DeHaan.
He's like the dragon.
oh yeah,
Click on
yeah.
it.
Like, that definitely made my honorable.
I've
mention.
never read the whole run of that, but it looks amazing.
Dude,
just the
I've
pictures I saw.
Like the very first time I ever cried reading a comic was
Okay, maybe I really do need
Oh
to
my
beeline
God.
to this one.
because we'll talk about it, but like it was just like tugged at your heartstrings. You're just like, oh god, Spider-Man, I feel for you, dog.
Yeah. Dane DeHaan played him in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
No,
He was he was
did,
really good.
No.
He was not Green Goblin.
I'll take Willem Dafoe any day.
Okay. I actually like that guy.
Over
I do too.
emo
Yeah.
kid.
The
I
Harris?
didn't like it.
Yeah.
and
Child.
then he watched through the cave of sequels at the or the basement of sequels at the end of the movie, where
Yep.
it's just like, oh, it's octopus arms. and
Here's
it's
the
just-
Sinister Six.
yeah,
That
it's the
never
Sinister-
show up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Sinister Six rooms of stuff.
I did not like how they did Rhino in that movie either.
I didn't either,
Did
Well, because it
anybody?
was Ultimate Rhino, not
Yeah.
the
and I
main
feel
Marvel
like
Universe
Sandman
Rhino.
was too soft.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know, just the way that they've portrayed.
They did
the
it so good the
Spider-Man
first time
villains.
around in the movies, so
Yeah.
it's like, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I
So
was
Spiderman.
going to have my fifth, but that's Sabretooth. And I was
My
going to
bad.
suggest, why don't we do this? We'll go to 4 for me and then back around.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Yeah?
Especially
Is
since
that
you
good?
didn't get
We're
to
on Boomerang it?
glorify yours.
Yeah, we'll boomerang it.
Yeah, I like it.
For me, my number 4 is very popular, I think now, is the Mad Titan, Thanos.
Mm.
He's always been a badass, though.
He's on my
Like,
list
the-
too.
He's just so
He's also on my list. Should we just
badass.
pop that balloon and
Okay,
talk about him?
real quick before we talk about him, he was my number 2.
Yeah.
He still can be.
He still
He's-
can. He's your number 2.
Whoa!
2 bros.
Two bros.
It was
All
destiny
right.
that
All
brought
right,
us
now
all
let's talk
We're
about
going to get one more. I
Thanos.
know we are.
Yes.
Thanos, the Mad Titan. I love both angles that they've done with him, both popular angles. Really, I'm talking when I say that, I mean MCU drive and comic book drive.
You couldn't use comic book Thanos in the MCU.
No.
because there would be no
It
context.
would
They
be
hint to it
impossible.
at the end of Avengers. You know, to
when he
tangle
does
with
the-
the Avengers is to court death.
Yeah.
And he's obviously in love with death and infatuated with the MCU physical embodiment of death.
Both comics and MCU.
Right.
He's obsessed with Mistress Death and like all. He is basically an eternal. He'll be alive
Yeah.
forever. That's why the
That's,
idea of dying
that's
is
she was
beautiful.
reading me
Yes.
his
he can
little
survive.
notes.
Yeah, he can survive without food, water, or air, and cannot die of old age. Like, what? Who's not badass if that's the case?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he has like all these
Yeah.
augmentations and
He's
studies
the-
multiple.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was just saying, strongest, biggest, baddest, most intelligent.
Without the Infinity Gauntlet.
Right?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you're familiar with Black Bolt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a story where Thanos was looking for his son Thane. He knew he was being kept with the Inhumans.
Yep.
And he goes straight to where the Inhumans are, confronts Black Bolt, and he's like, "Where's my son?"
Uh-huh.
Black Bolt can shatter a planet if he screams loud enough.
Yeah,
He's-
he could get rid of the galaxy with a wet fart.
He
that
really
guy.
is.
Basically.
He really
Yeah.
is cool
So
as hell.
like full frontal assault, just screams in Thanos' face as loud as he can. Like he fucks up Thanos, but Thanos is still standing there. He's like, "All right, well, now if you won't tell me where my son is, you're going to take your secrets with you to the grave." And just picks him up and choke slams him basically to death.
Yeah.
Thanos is no one to fuck with.
Yeah. So just the fact that he's willing to withstand a full-on scream from Black Bolt says enough for me, because there's not a lot of creatures or beings out there in the MCU that can do that.
And there's just a lot of really good visuals in the comics. Like when you read the original Infinity Gauntlet when he punches through Captain America's shield.
Oh my god,
that is like one of the best panels that I've ever. Like I love that panel. Like it looks
Rips
amazing.
Iron Man into.
Oh my god. So just reading that single run right there, that's one of my all time favorites, and that's why it ranks so high on my list, just because of that comic.
And for me, having him in the movie, I bring these little bastards up all the time. But we brought our children to go see
I know.
Infinity War.
We're trying to sell them if anybody's
And
interested.
contact us at alteregopodcast.com. And he first shows up. I remember I had to have my son sit on my lap because in the original Avengers, we were watching this at home. And the first time Hulk transforms and Black Widow's like, hello? Hello? And he's just like, out of nowhere. There was a cloud of dust where my son was. He up and ran.
He legit took
Nope.
Ran faster than Black
today.
Widow.
Ran. Not today, Satan. You ain't getting me. And he was gone. And it took some
He's a
coaxing to
survivor.
get him back out
yeah.
onto the couch.
Did he leave the? Oh wait, no. This is at
Yeah,
your
this
house.
is at
the
home.
house.
This is
Okay, I
at
was gonna
home.
say,
We played
Did he
it
run out
safe.
of the theater?
We played it safe.
But when we first saw Thanos on screen,
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
He was sitting on my lap, right? And Thanos just shows up. Thor's already beat up. Everybody, all the Asgardians are taken out,
You just hear his voice,
and you just hear him go. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, we're okay,
Deep breath,
right?
buddy.
And then what happens again? We have a Hulk. Bah! I feel his heart just go, oh my God!
Yeah.
And I'm like, calm down. We're good. We had seen this twice already by
Yeah.
now, right? So we're well prepared. And you could feel his heart jumping out of his chest. And then Thanos not only handles the Hulk, handles him quickly. My son was like, I'm not okay with this.
Yeah, this is a problem. This guy is terrifying.
So every time, even when he's so calm and sincere with everybody, you know what I mean? Even at the end when he's talking to Scarlet Witch and he's like, I get it. I know you're upset.
yeah, even when
Sorry.
you hear the score of him, he's not even present on screen,
bah,
and you
bah.
hear the bah. Yeah, he would start to like hyperventilate.
That
like
to me
she
was
going
coming.
down
Yes.
Yeah. I
was
mean,
incredible.
even when he's like, yeah, and when he's talking to her, he's like, sorry, I've got to kill everybody. I got to do this. It's for your own good. You don't get it now, but you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Josh Brolin's portrayal of that character is better than it was in my head.
Yeah.
So
and it's
good.
usually the other way around.
Yes.
He was so perfect at
He
it.
was very, very good.
He portrayed intellect, strength,
Yes.
strategy. And the one thing that I liked about it is he was so secure in his strategy to me, like he's taking off his armor when you first see him. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't even need this. We're going to be fine.
Did you notice in the second movie he didn't do any of that and he kept his helmet on because he figured out like essentially everybody else's like plan.
Yeah.
He was like, all right, so if I died
Yeah.
because somebody got me in the head this time, I'm gonna keep my helmet on, I'm gonna keep my armor on, I'm
gonna
still
keep
gonna whoop
this
that ass.
on.
Yep.
I'm just gonna,
You know you're a badass. Like if there's a battle going on, you're just sitting there waiting for somebody to come to you.
yeah.
You know, it's
Come
like,
at
hey,
me.
what are you going to do? He's like,
Chill. That's
I'll
what I'm
sit
doing.
here. And they go to themselves, they go, you know it's a trap, right? And they're like, yeah, we don't care. It wasn't a trap.
No, he was
He
literally
was
sitting
just
there
sitting
waiting.
there waiting to come get that ass.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's probably my favorite, like Thanos moment was when he is sitting there at the end of Endgame, just waiting for not the far end of Endgame, but pre-Endgame showdown.
The beginning game.
Yep, the
Okay.
beginning game.
The beginning of
Beginning of the end game.
Yeah, the beginning of the end game. But where he's just sitting there and Iron Man and Thor and Cap just walk out, I'm just like, God, he is so badass.
He's just sitting there with a rock in his hand, like, all right,
Yeah,
come
just,
get it.
Just sitting there picking leaves, you know what I mean? Like, fuck it,
shooting
whatever.
dice with the homies. Waiting for people to show up.
We need to CGI a sign next to Thanos while he's sitting there that just says free ass whoopings.
Yes,
He's just sitting there
Change
You're
like,
my
welcome.
mind.
come and get it.
When he came back in that movie, I had an audible reaction where he actually came back in time and he was doing
Yeah.
I had an audible reaction where I'm like, no, you just beat him.
Yeah.
You finally beat him.
Yeah.
And now you have to do this all. I was excited to see him because I love the character.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
You
no.
felt dread for the hero.
Well,
Yeah, I
everybody
feel
in the
bad
movie
for
was
them.
like 5 years later, wait, what are we going to do without Thanos? He's the reason for this movie.
Yeah, we
and
were
that was
all
another
kinda
thing that
wondering.
put him on my list is because when I reimagined and I saw the whole snap thing and I saw the merits, I was like, damn, he's right. Damn, he's right. I mean, there's a lot of freaking people. And the universe is finite, the resource is finite. It's a simple calculus. I was like,
I mean, he could snap his
Because he
fingers and
wasn't
make
just
twice as
trying
many
to, like,
vegetables.
take over the world.
What's that?
Because he wasn't just trying to take over the world. Like, he had a purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
And he
it
wasn't
just made
saying
sense.
in the first one, I'm coming here and I'm going to be your ruler. No. He's like, I know what's good for you even if you don't. We're going to handle this. You know, it's like a dad taking his son to the room. You're going to get a spanking. It's good. You'll be a better man for this. I'm just going to have to snap out half creation.
Yeah.
He's going to spank half the people in the
That's
world.
right.
Anybody who's capable of wielding world-ending power is just ultra dope.
Yeah. There's only a handful of people that can do it. No
He
pun
threw
intended.
a planet.
This guy.
Yeah. You throw another moon at
Oh,
me.
my God. He did throw a moon. I forgot all about
You
that.
throw another moon at me.
Just like, nyang.
yeah.
That's Power of the Infinity Stones, man.
Yeah. I kind of wish
ridiculous.
that scene had been made in the 80s and it was done with Schwarzenegger. Stock, catch this. Boom. Off comes the moon. No?
Off
Okay.
comes the moon. I can't do accents. I tried.
All right. So that was me for Thanos. So you guys, that was your number 2. I like
was
it.
my number
So
two.
we'll
I
just
like it.
name drop him when
Yeah.
we roll
So
around
let's
on
just
number
keep
2.
going with 4. All right. Let's keep moving on down the line.
I thought you were boomeranging.
No, we're boomeranging.
That's
Ah,
that way.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
that's
What do you
right.
got?
We are. No, that's you, Mark.
No,
That's
no,
me?
yeah, you go, Mark.
Yeah, you know. So
She's nervous.
No, I'm not.
I see your notes from here, and that is amazing.
Extensive.
Yeah,
Dude,
good
it's
Lord.
just forever.
Look at that.
It just keeps
Here-
going.
here's my notes.
Like, it just keeps going. I spent at least 5 hours doing research. I'm not gonna lie,
Clearly.
over the last 3 days.
She's very excited.
Guys, let's
to
give
be
it up
here.
for
yeah,
Megan.
Let's
give it up for her.
No.
You did a great job.
That was from me this time.
Yeah.
Again, me admitting that makes it sound like I don't know what I'm doing, but
No.
No. It makes you
Actually,
thorough.
kind of makes us feel like chumps here for a second.
Exactly.
If I'm being honest.
I feel like chumps every time I do this podcast. Because, like, these guys will have full pages of notes and I just bring my notepad. And, like, all right, guys,
well, who's
But
the
it-
chump now, Mark?
Probably me.
Why is she after my... Okay.
I gotta
you stole her
go.
number 2, that's why.
Oh.
So my number 4 is very MCU heavy as well, and MCU did turn this around for me, but it's low T. Just because I
can see
love
that.
low T, especially early low T. Avengers 1 low T, Thor 1 low T. I didn't like when he turned into the anti-hero, like when you got into Ragnarok and stuff. I didn't find that as enjoyable. I liked him more as like a ruthless wannabe dictator. So I really enjoyed that part, and I'm hoping with the time travel stuff that they're doing for the Loki TV show
Oh, he's coming back.
that he's coming back as that.
Yeah.
So
Well, in the time that he escapes, he's right in the thick of
yeah,
it.
that was right after he got arrested at
Yeah.
the Battle of New York.
Yeah.
So,
Arrested.
oh, you know,
He does
detained.
arrested.
You had little handcuffs and a little face thing on.
I wish so. There's a podcast associated that I love with Seven Lamb. That's movies, films, and flicks, and they do a lot of statistics about movies. If you guys are listening to this, please break down how many people you think called 911 when they saw the aliens invading New York. How many people statistically do you think were like, "Hello"?
There's a lot of Karens in New York, so I'm pretty sure some cops got
Show some of them on there like they're calling the cops. I want to know. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, Loki. Yes,
So-
I like him a lot. Does anybody have him on their list?
What happens when he's number 1?
Yeah.
Oh boy!
We should have boomeranged the
So
other
do
way.
you want to?
Yeah.
Do you want to hang on to that for number 1? We
I'll
can
wait.
continue the
I mean,
discussion
if-
later.
well, if you've
We're
got
still
some-
gonna go through
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
It's not a big deal.
I mean, we'll wait. I'll wait if that's okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll come back to it.
I don't
Yeah.
want to steal your number 1.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'll go back to my
You
thing
can't
about
really-
Loki when we get back to her number
Yeah.
one. There are some moments with Loki in a lot of different media that I've seen that I love. I thought he was great. But anyway, yeah. So Loki, that's a great one. So number 4 for you. I swear, if you're reading my diary,
All right, my number 4 wound up being, and again, not the main Marvel universe.
I know what
but-
this is.
Yeah, but the ultimate version of Magneto. Because
Okay.
typically, like main Marvel universe, Magneto, he like waxed and waned through the years. At one point in time, like he was really extreme, and then he sort of became a good guy. And as of right now, he's a good guy. But,
would you say good though?
no, he's a good guy right now, like straight up. He's a straight up good guy right now.
Well, so spoiler alert, he's on my list too.
It's on mine too.
Yeah.
He's my
Spoiler
number
alert.
1.
Oh, that's what you get.
I got
No,
you
I'm
back,
just
dog.
But 616 universe.
See, that's what I was gonna say. We were watching a video, and he's my number 2. There's so many great versions of him, and he's another one that when I looked at Magneto, I was like, I would team up with him in a heartbeat.
Because like in the Ultimate Universe, he's so fucking ruthless. Like there's
Yeah.
a story called Ultimatum. All right, hold on. Let me backtrack a little bit. The worst thing I feel like he's done in the main Marvel universe was a story called Fatal Attractions, where he like blanketed EMP'd the world. So obviously like shut down a lot of electronics, so on and so forth. And then he had Asteroid M, and that's where he was taking a lot of mutants. And then the X-Men were like, all right, no, we got to fucking kill him. Like, we need to stop. We have to stop him. So he gets there. Wolverine goes for him like a dumbass because, you know,
Always.
metal.
He always
skeleton.
jumps out.
He
Knuckles first.
Yeah, he sucked the adamantium out of Wolverine's body and like, made
Oh,
Wolverine
yeah.
like lose his mind because like the extreme pain and yada yada yada. And Charles Xavier's like, I'm not having any of this. I am going to shut your mind down. So like that's when you get Onslaught, and that's a story for another time. But the worst thing that Magneto in the Ultimate Universe has ever done, and again, it's a story called Ultimatum. Thor's hammer is made of metal, and this is kind of controversial. I want to know what you think. Should Magneto be able to pick up Thor's hammer?
Oh.
No.
Well,
But it's
because
Because I
It's not
said
Earth
so.
metal.
It-
So
yeah,
that
it
could
It
also
be.
doesn't
is-
matter. This motherfucker can pull comets out of space. Why would
That's
why would
true.
Earth metal make a difference?
because it depends on who you ask, and it depends on how you're analyzing that to me. Because, sure, the metal, and sometimes there have been people with brute strength that have been able to pick it up, i.e., Hulk.
But the Hulk picked up Thor, so in turn he got to pick up the hammer. So was that
No,
actually?
but
Thor?
Hulk has actually picked up the hammer itself. He's
True.
picked it up with just nothing but pure, gamma rage and all that jazz. That being said, if it's a brute strength thing, maybe. But I don't think he should be able to pick the hammer up because it's not the actual metal itself, in my interpretation, the way I see it. It's not the metal that keeps it from getting picked up.
It's whether you're
the
worthy.
incantations and Odin's power that keeps it from you having to be a certain person. Not if you're strong enough, you can pick me up. It's if you're worthy. And so, and the other side of that coin, depending on what Magneto you get, he might be worthy.
That's
I
true.
just Googled.
Well, also look at like Steve Rogers.
You Googled and
Hydra
we didn't
Steve
hit the
Rogers.
song?
I'm Googling at the moment.
Oh, hit the song. Hit the
His
song.
song.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it says right here the enchantment is supposed to make Mjolnir unable to be lifted or moved by the unworthy. He can and has pushed Mjolnir away using its metallic nature against it, but he cannot physically lift
Like
it.
pick it up with his hand.
Right.
So he can resist
But
it.
doesn't it
He
work in
can
the same
resist
way
it.
that somebody with brute force can pick it up in certain situations as well? They're not worthy,
Right.
but they're lifting
But
it.
that's long since changed. Like that was like early
Yeah.
'90s when you.
That's
could have-
that's different variations of what you got there. And
Okay.
so,
But it would-
I wouldn't dispute it and be like, no, there's no way Magneto would be able to pick up this hammer. No, I wouldn't say that.
I thought your
think,
number 3 was Onslaught.
It was last week. Yeah, like it was definitely
Things have
Onslaught.
changed.
You've become a different person since the last time I saw you.
So, like when
Jeez.
you told me like
Jeez,
it was gonna
Justin,
be a
it's like
top
I don't
five,
even know you.
I'm so sorry.
Did you say Thanos was on your list?
He was on my honorable mentions because I knew everybody else was going to pick Thanos.
Thank God. So at least we don't have a matching 5.
True. But in this story, Ultimatum, Charles Xavier finally like, oh, okay, hold on. I was getting to the hammer. He does pick up Thor's hammer, and this is like where his powers get put on display. Like he's definitely Omega level, if not beyond Omega level.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
like if he wanted to flatten the Earth, he could. So like in the story, he uses Thor's hammer. Plus
He's
his own
switched the
power.
poles before.
Yeah, that's what he does. He switches the poles, and that makes New York flood, taking out most of the heroes. He froze Latveria, which like killed all of its all people who inhabited it.
Yeah. Not a lot of people there, but still.
Charles Xavier like went up to Magneto. He was like, "Look, this is too much.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop you no matter what I have to do." And he was like, "Well, what God?" This is like one of the best lines I've ever heard Magneto say. He was like, "Well, what God did in 40 days and 40 nights, I'm going to do in 3." And he snaps Charles Xavier's neck. I'm like, God damn, Jesus! It
Yeah.
was such a crazy story.
Yeah.
That's in the Ultimate Universe? Yeah. Oh, my God.
He also has killed Apocalypse.
He has.
And that's a tough thing to do.
Walking away from Apocalypse and saying, we could have been on the same team, man. It's a shame. Like, you're going to coach him after he's sitting there dead in the ground? He's like, sorry, man. Could have been on my team.
Yeah, dude. Ultimate Magneto like is no fucking joke.
Yeah.
He's so much more extreme. That's why he made it to my list.
There you go. So,
I have research to do.
4 for you.
4
Four
for
for
me.
you.
Well, I'm a huge Thor fan, so I really kind of struggle with my 4 and 5 there for a minute, and he slides into number 4 probably partially because of this. At one point, he stole Thor's Odin Force and threw Thor around like a rag doll, and that shit's insane to me.
Wait, who did?
Doctor Doom.
Yes, he did. Oh,
I know he's in this room elsewhere, so
I was going to say, I think I'm the only person who didn't pick Dr.
Yeah.
Doom for this.
I'm
but
surprised.
It said that his mind works.
Dr. Doom's definitely on my list.
He was on my
He's-
top 10.
He's my number 3.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. He's
Is it? You get out of here.
no bullshit.
You two.
We
Get a
called
room.
each other.
Get a different room.
Yeah, get a different room. But it said that his mind works as fast as a sophisticated computer. He learned how to harness the mystical energies of vibranium that even Wakanda couldn't do. The guy is just a super badass. I mean, he's one of the smartest humans in the Marvel Universe. Possibly the greatest Marvel supervillain ever created. Has been said to be the, if not one of the top few favorite villains of Stan Lee himself. I mean, he's just a super badass character.
I agree. And this is my thought about Doctor Doom. I'm sitting here looking at Marvel MCU and where it is right now, and I'm saying, man, it's going to be hard to top Thanos. Who could they bring around?
I can think of a couple people.
I'm
If
sure.
they do
On
him
these
right,
lists.
and that's kind of the
sure.
problem too, is that like he has, and this is of no offense to the X-Men movies, or the Fantastic Four.
No,
movies
they
so
were all
far.
trash.
Yeah,
they
they
were all
suck.
fucking
No,
garbage.
offend them.
Anyway,
They're all
okay,
garbage.
great. But I
There's
don't,
one good one
he
that
was-
I think, and that's Old Man Logan or Logan.
Yes,
but
I agree.
I digress.
I do agree. I think that one was probably the only one that really hit it. But someone described it, and something I was looking at earlier, as Doctor Doom was portrayed as a generic evil business guy.
Yep.
So far in the movies. Or in the other one, he basically looked like a crash dummy. And he really needs.
He really did.
He really
I
needs
didn't
like
even
a good
see it.
proper portrayal.
They
and I
said
think
Victor
it's
Von
coming.
Doom is a hacker. I go, not watching it.
Not in my
No,
mind.
it's Victor Disachev or whatever they changed his name to.
Yeah.
Victor Van Dyke is what it was, I think.
Victor Van Dyke.
Yeah.
That's what I
Victor-
get.
but
A big
seriously,
thumbs down.
Victor
People listening
Von
at
Doom,
home.
that's just a badass name.
Right. How do you change that?
But my favorite part is, even though they changed it in the movie, he's like brooding in the corner, and somebody watches mine and goes, "Check out Doctor Doom over there."
no.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I'm so happy
We
I
are
haven't
watching
seen
Fan
that.
Four Stick for this podcast.
Oh, God. I will put myself through that for you wonderful listeners. All
I
eight of
had
you.
to watch Ghost Rider 2.
That's true.
I'm sorry.
1 and 2.
We're so sorry.
Okay.
But,
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
he's-
Fair point.
He's said to have the intelligence and the technology to pretty much go fist to fist with Iron Man, like without any struggles,
Oh,
without
yeah.
any
He can
issues.
go hand to hand with almost
Yep.
anybody.
No.
He's basically
so
immune.
much stronger than
oh,
Iron Man.
I
It's
would,
not
I
even
would,
funny.
I would
that's
say
like-
that's probably true. But I mean, he's immune to like several powers and abilities of a lot of the Marvel universe's heroes and villains. So he's cool.
A reason he's
and
on my list.
Should we
aesthetically,
just hop
he's
into
so
him?
cool.
He's the
Yeah,
coolest
let's do
looking
it.
Yes.
villain
Let's
of
just
all
let's
More
just
so
jump
in
into
the
Doctor Doom
comics, for
because
sure.
to me, the heroes are playing checkers while he's playing chess.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I
That's
mean?
a
He's like,
perfect
oh, I
way.
hope you don't do that. I wouldn't have a contingency for that. Uh-oh.
And
Like-
he's like they're in checkmate before they even
Right, before they
touch
even
a
start.
piece. Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
Iron Man is like mastered science. He's mastered science
And
and
magic.
magic. So it's like, and you're a dictator.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you going to
here's-
do with this?
Well, the people of Latveria love Doctor Doom.
Yeah, he is
whether
their
that's
king.
mind control or not.
No, like without mind control, like
Yeah.
they do love him.
They
Legitimately,
love
because
him.
he does everything he can for Latveria.
Yep.
Like Latveria is his Wakanda.
Yep.
And fucking what was the name of the story? It was when Doom. This is why there's not multiple universes anymore. The Beyonders were coming to Earth, and everybody's like, "All right, fuck, this is terrible. They're gonna destroy everything." Doom realized what was happening. Him and the dude named Molecule Man, Owen Reese, like Molecule Man can control molecules. He can basically warp reality. He was like, "Yeah, there's a version of you in every universe, and they're gonna send them here basically to detonate every universe. We have to stop this from happening ahead of time." So he absorbed him, Molecule Man, and Doom teamed up. He absorbed the powers of the Beyonders, and he became God King Doom. He rewrote fucking history. He destroyed other like the Ultimate Universe doesn't exist anymore because of Doctor Doom.
Right.
He like melded so many universes together and called it Battle World. All right, because we just got done talking about Thanos.
Yeah.
Like Doom beat an entire army of Hulks. He was strong enough to like subdue every Thor from every universe, and then had the Thor Corps is what he called it, but they were his police force. He rewrote history so that way he was married to Susan Storm instead. Thanos came to Doom and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna fuck you up," and Doom was like, "You thought," and straight up Mortal Kombat's him, like punches a hole in his chest and rips
Yeah.
his spine out. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god!"
Yeah.
And Black Panther got a hold of the Infinity Stones by way of Doctor Strange, and he assembled the Infinity Gauntlet. He came up to Thanos and he was like, "All right, we got one shot to do this, and we're gonna make it count." And Doom was like, "No, you don't." Black Panther turned Doom into ice and shattered him. Doom put himself back together and just murdered everybody. Like, that
Oh
was the
my
end of it.
God.
It took the power of Molecule Man, Owen Reese, Because it was at the very end of it, the very end of things, it was Dr. Doom and Reed Richards who got into a battle with each other. And what
Typical.
what wound up happening was Doom saying, look, Reed, you probably would have done a better job than I would have, but as of right now, I'm on top.
Mm-hmm.
And Molecule Man was like, wait, you said he would do a better job? And he's like, yeah. So just because he said that, Molecule Man and Orneries had to rewrite history just to stop Doom, period. There was no upper limit of his power. He could do anything. He was God. It was
There's
crazy.
been times where he's gone to the Tree of Life or whatever in Asgard and taken that power. He's taken Odin's power from him before.
Oh, this is so far beyond Odin's power.
But still, I mean, the thing.
He's taking it just to be mean.
Yeah. And just said, well,
He had
I
a hold of a cosmic cube at one point in time. Like, there's nothing he hasn't done. He became Iron Man, too. That was pretty dope. That was such a dope outfit.
I certainly hope if they fast track the Fantastic Four, which I think they're going to do in the MCU, they just hold out on Doom. Make Doom the next Thanos.
You have to.
But it's just, well, I guess MCU's smart enough to do it. Marvel is smart enough to do it, whereas Fox is just like, boom, here you go, Dr. Doom. There you go.
Here's shit on a plate.
Story over and over.
Here's the
and
thing.
over.
I think all of these guys that we've mentioned on all of our lists so far have been in the MCU, correct? Is there anybody that we've said that hasn't been somewhat represented?
Not
Green
yet.
Goblin
Green Goblin has been in there. Norman Osborn.
in the MCU?
Not MC. Sorry,
Oh,
in
sorry.
movies.
In television. yeah,
I don't
has
count
been
the Fox
portrayed.
CU.
Okay. Well,
Okay, fine.
calm down.
I don't count it.
Okay.
But he's
So,
been portrayed on TV.
Who do you give the nod to play Dr. Doom? Because Julian McMahon was Julian. If you're listening to this, I'm sure you were great in other stuff. I hated you as Dr. Doom.
Jesus.
I'm just here to pick up some things for some friends. Dr. Doom. You don't need to go steal anything, bro.
Yeah, you can.
You're Dr. Doom.
You
for
don't
fuck's
have to
sake.
steal anything. And he kills this guy by electrocuting him in a parking lot. Like, why is this person?
Great value, Doom.
Why is Doom even wasting time talking to this guy? You know what I mean? People aren't worth it for Doom. He's like, I'm gonna do it, and you could try to stop me, but you're not gonna.
I'll just send out one of my Doom bots and they can handle it.
Yep.
My brain is ticking.
Not
I
leaving my
can't think of
castle.
anybody that's worthy
Trying to
of
think of
portraying
somebody
him.
who could really play a good Doctor Doom and really like bring the thunder as him, because he needs
Nicolas
a.
Cage for sure.
We need somebody with a commanding voice, a commanding presence, because that voice
Josh Brolin is
really
taken.
what kills me.
A couple
Before
times at this
Doom.
point.
The
Even.
person that comes to my mind is Liev Schreiber, who played Sabretooth.
Oh, here we go
That
again.
You big
Are
lead
you
fan.
plugging? Are you getting paid for this? I mean, I'm okay with it if you are, but are you getting paid for that?
Yes.
For plugging him?
Yes, I am. Liev
Schreiber Venmo
checks
you
in the
before.
mail, baby.
He still uses
I'm a big
checks.
fan of his, but we'll see. There's a lot of good actors out there that could probably do Doctor Doom, but you have to be imposing. You have to have a very imposing voice, and you're right, Josh Brolin, man, he's got the market on that right now. But who else could it be?
Maybe like
Josh
Which one's
Brolin, too.
John Hamm.
Which
No.
one's what?
The crickets.
Crickets.
We have no idea.
Okay, we're moving on. Okay, so Doctor Doom, very well done. All right, and who's up next?
If we're boomeranging me,
Yeah,
especially because your number 3 is the same.
as his number 3. We
Well,
already
we
did
just talked
Doctor
about
Doom.
What you got?
So do number 3, Megan.
number
Ruin
3.
it for the rest of us.
Well, this is the first character that we've mentioned that has not been in a movie yet.
She says yet. She says yet. I know who it is.
Hoping who's going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh, I
And
don't
that's-
know who this is.
You do know. It's the Enchantress.
True.
Oh.
And
So-
she could have done so well in these movies too.
And the reason I think that she may possibly be in Thor: Love and Thunder is because, at least in the comics, from what I was reading, because she's been in animated. I mean, they've obviously had her in plenty of animated things, but she in the comics kills attempts to kill all of Thor's love interests, to include Jane Foster. And we already know Jane Foster's coming back, so
We know she's going to be Lady Thor.
Yeah, we know she's
if
going to be
you
Lady
think
Thor.
she's not going to be, I think you're kidding yourself.
They already
Like,
had,
come on, man.
Oh,
They showed her
Oh,
with the hammer
they
already.
showed her with a hammer at San Diego
It's
Comic Con
San
last
Diego
year.
Comic Con.
They know
that doesn't
things.
mean it's going to happen.
No,
It's
but the
definitely- it's
Russos were
definitely
there.
gonna happen.
I think there's going to be a team of Thors in the next Thor movie.
If Beta Ray Bill shows up,
I will
I have a
literally
feeling
like
if
have
anybody's
a-
going to tackle that, it's going to be Taika
it's
Waititi.
going to be a problem.
It's gonna be who?
Taika,
Taika
Taika.
Waititi, yeah.
What is that?
the director of Thor
Director.
Ragnarok.
Oh my God,
Okay.
get out!
All right, I'll see you guys. Later. Thank you for having
I
me.
could've-
My beer.
Out of
That was
context, I
Justin,
guess.
ladies and gentlemen. Bye, Justin.
Bye,
I'm
Justin.
kidding.
But yeah, I think that's going to be ridiculous. I don't know, guys. I loved Enchantress and Suicide Squad. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
No,
Or not,
get
but-
Okay, and that was Mark, ladies and
Bye,
gentlemen.
Mark.
Oh, different person?
Yeah. So it's
Ah.
funny. We went to Emerald City, like I said yesterday, and we were like, yeah, we're really looking for Enchantress. And they were like, oh, there's a great arc with her where she's with this and the Suicide Squad and where she first was like,
We both were like, no.
Pump the brakes there.
And they
Marvel.
go, oh, okay.
So yeah, for those that might not know anything about her, she is a born Asgardian. She is probably the most powerful sorcerer in.
Can we pump the brakes
Asgard.
for a second? I'm sorry. I want you to continue, but I want you to say that word again. Where's Thor from?
Asgard.
Asgard?
Asgard. You know, like the cream.
You did. I don't know, like the cream.
Asgard.
That's another top 10 for another time. But we say
Asgard, I
Asgardian,
know.
not Asgard.
I like Asgard.
I like Asgard too. She's an Asgardian.
Asgardian.
Guardian of the Galaxy.
Anyway, she is probably the strongest sorcerer in Asgard, and but she's always longed for Thor to take her as the queen to roll over Asgard.
As is tradition.
Her desire for Thor was really what kind of turned her evil because he was just put her off or whatever. But in her powers, her kiss can enslave any man. She can shoot fire bolts from her hands. Like what?
Yeah, her magic is. If she wanted to hit you with ice, she'd hit you with ice. She wanted to hit you with fire, she'd hit you with fire.
She has interdimensional teleportation, telekinesis, time disruption. She can send people through other dimensions just like Doctor Strange. She can control objects just like Ebony Maw, and she doesn't need a single time stone or Infinity Stone to do it.
Yeah, and so in a lot of comics, I thought Executioner was the guy with the time with the travel with the portals. Like he took his axe and
No, it's fine.
off you went.
Executioner usually following around the Enchantress.
No, I know that.
Oh, sorry.
He's her buddy, and I thought he was the
he's
one.
her hound, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe he can do it, but from what I was seeing and reading, and
Speaking of Executioner, Carl Urban, we got to talk, buddy.
Oh, homie with the AKs, you didn't like that?
We got to
That
talk.
didn't tickle your fancy?
No,
Got them from Texas.
Texas in Asgard. I didn't like it. Sorry,
I wouldn't.
that's
continue.
okay. To kind of go back to the Mjolnir question, though, as far as like villains and their abilities with it, the Mjolnir is actually immune to her powers, so she has there's really no way for her to take it or do anything.
Makes sense. Asgardian magic, and that's what
Yeah.
Mjolnir's got.
But she is a 6'3", blonde, green-eyed sorcerer, so she's just like me.
Only
Only
you're a
I'm not
couple inches
6'3"
short.
or a sorcerer.
Or blonde.
Well, I mean, it's not real blonde, but I mean, there's some in there.
It's been a rough 6 weeks, all right?
And
My hair's
according
growing
to the most recent
And track
entries,
that home with these damn
She's also 450 pounds, and I'm not that either. So
according to the most recent entries in the MCU, I'm
you
the one
flexing
with the
for?
closest Thor body, baby.
yeah, and I'm desperately in love with Thor in real life too.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Desperately.
desperately.
That's
in
right.
love. So she definitely came in at number 3. She's someone I've always been really interested in, and I'm actually kind of happy that I didn't know much about her going into this because I was very open-minded to learn about her. But
Yeah.
she's someone that has always intrigued me because she's known to be a very prominent villain for Thor, but she's not been portrayed in anything I've personally
Which
seen.
is what I think people are missing out.
Yes, like when they showed clips of Hela before they released all of that, people were saying, "Oh, are we getting the Enchantress?" And I'm like, if
not
that
gonna lie, I was one of those
bimbo
people.
is,
I was like, oh, it's the Enchantress. It
Yeah.
was so fucking
Yeah.
shocked.
I mean, I was excited because I did want to see it, but I was kind of like, if that's how they're portraying her, I'm not super excited. So
Yeah.
like, I'm really
Especially
hoping that
because
when
they
they do her right.
They kind of gave her the job of Hela when they were saying, I was like,
Yeah.
And then they said, oh, that's Thor's sister. And I was like, no.
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 Yeah. Something
Anyway.
right here.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, she came in
Enchantress
at my
is
number
cool.
3.
Isn't it
Nice.
actually it's supposed to be Loki's daughter?
So
isn't
you're
it?
on 3? It is
Yes.
Loki's daughter, yeah.
Loki's daughter, yeah.
We're on 3. I think my 3 has already been revealed. Yours was too. We had Dr. Doom.
Yes, we did.
So we're moving on to Mark. What's your number 3, Mark?
My number 3
Yeah,
is
Mark.
What?
Mark.
My number 3 is the man on your T-shirt.
Oh, wow.
Venom.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the
You had to take it back,
anti-villain?
huh?
Wow.
So, okay, this isn't necessary. You're going to argue
son
me.
of a bitch.
I am.
Is this
We're
on
all-
your
I
list?
think
He's my number 1.
Do you want to hold off? And
I'm
bring it
gonna
back around?
argue both of you, but go ahead.
I know as soon as I put this on my list, I'm like, here we go.
Yeah.
He's an anti-hero.
Yeah.
He's not a
He's
villain.
definitely not a
no,
villain.
he
He's
bites,
a villain. Wrong place, wrong time.
I don't know about all that.
I'm
Other
actually
than
really
wanting
excited
to
for
murder
number ones
Spider-Man all the
now.
time. He's not a villain.
Yeah.
Like-
Had he murdered Spider-Man? Okay, I'll give you that.
I mean, I believe he gave it his best try.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
Few
but
times.
which one?
A few times.
Are we talking the comics?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. Over and over again.
I have a feeling it's going to happen in the MCU too. I think villain's going to want to
Villain.
I think Venom's going to want to get him when they first meet.
And I'm sure
I
they
think-
when
I
they first meet,
really
of
want him to
course.
put, like,
I
put
think they'll
them
tumble.
together finally.
Yeah, it needs to happen.
I'm sick of this shit.
I think
Tom
it's
Hardy,
happening
Tom
in
Holland.
Venom, too.
That's a recipe for a win right there. Anyway,
The two Toms. I feel like they're going to team up in
Tom
the next
Toms.
one to take on Mr. Carnage.
yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's what's going to happen. It's going to have
You
to
think
be
they
a
might-
Tom.
Well, they've
Holland.
already
First.
got shots of Woody the Herald's son with his red hair.
S-O-N, not S-U-N.
with his $10 wig.
Yeah,
That is the
That's
worst wig I've ever
although
seen in a movie.
the production
He is
shots of
he's
him now
sweaty
look
and in
good.
prison,
Yeah.
so maybe
They look good. They look more well. Actually, at the end of Venom, he looked much more like Cletus Cassidy than he does now. But I get they're trying to make him look modern. Whatever. We're not going to go into that right now. But
So-
you're absolutely right.
But
You
this is just like a throwback to teenage me. Venom, as soon as he debuted, was one of my favorites immediately.
Yeah.
I was a teenager. He looked cool. He acted cool. He was the best. He was honestly the best. And there's
Gave
just something
zero
to
fucks at any
Yeah,
given moment.
Absolutely. And he was the opposite of everything Spider-Man was at the time, per se, because he was like, is the nerd versus jock. It was that whole...
yeah.
And there's just his voice, like when you hear it, even in the old animated ones where he's just like Venom.
He was also very snake-like. Very,
Yep.
the long tongue coming out, and he was always hissing at
It
people.
was menacing.
I mean, those
Yeah.
those
It worked.
covers with Venom on them back in the day were
Yeah.
some of the best covers.
Like this Lethal
best
Protector
art,
shirt
yeah,
that
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
wearing.
It's always like drooling or a long tongue coming out and dripping.
And these just like talon
It's just
hands.
it's just one of those things where I'd walk into the comic book store and see that from a distance and get excited about it.
Yep.
So that's why Venom went so high on my list. Not necessarily the depth of the character, but I'm sure it is there, and you will school me
it's
on that
there.
in a minute. But
You're doing well.
Seal of approval.
actually, there's this warm feeling in my heart when I hear and see Venom.
Yeah.
So that's why I made it so high. On
How
my
did you
list.
feel about the movie
Yeah.
that they did? Yeah, you're hoping that they expand on him a little bit more.
Venom,
and get a
I
little
agree with
deeper.
that. I agree with it.
This is where you're going to disagree. Venom should have been a villain at first.
I agree.
He should have.
I agree.
And they dealt within the limitations of what they had. I really thought they should have done Agent Venom with Tom Hardy. I feel like they would have been better off doing that.
I can see that.
No.
So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, does that mean that they're going to do something?
Yeah.
You just solid no across the board.
No.
Why?
But
So
Tom
that-
Hardy would have been better suited as like the military, using it as a weapon kind of thing, rather than
so you're talking about him not being Eddie Brock, him being Flash Thompson.
yes,
yeah.
Okay, I can get behind that.
Because I just felt like it was better suited for the situation that they had at hand. They don't have a Spider-Man. They don't have the Sinister Six. They don't really have anybody else at their disposal.
And they
at
tried
the time
to bring
of the
the
movie.
Sinister, not Sinister Six. They tried to bring what's the name of that squad? Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank right now. Scream, Riot, all them guys.
I know what you're talking
the
about.
symbiote,
Scream, Riot.
Los Symbiotos.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Yeah, sure.
That's
Medusa.
Yeah.
It's just within what they had. I don't think they should have gone that route, but it was all they had. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's also possible that I don't know how they would if they're bringing Carnage out right now, but I would say that they might be trying to build his origin story as a positive sort of, and then like shit's gonna hit the fan with him and he's gonna go insane or something. Like that would be kind of.
it would
I
be
think
nice
we're
if
gonna
they
see-
did
I
that
just don't
in
know if there's
reverse.
gonna
I
be
think
enough
we're going to
time.
see a lot
Yeah.
of mood swings out of Venom
And that's kind of what
It's
I'm
just-
hoping for.
in Venom 2.
Yeah.
It's just the Venom movie felt like, well, shit, we don't have Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Who do we have?
No, it's true.
Oh, Venom. Okay, we got Venom. That's cool.
Let's
and
make him a good guy.
There were some good aspects to the movie that I agreed with,
Yeah.
but I just felt like if that was the end game and they started somewhere else and worked that, it would have been a much more enjoyable process.
I think having Tom Hardy being a journalist in New York, but then you'd have to progress Tom Holland's story, and there's just no way to do
yeah,
that
just
right.
the logistics of it were
and
off.
to the
Yeah.
majority of the world right now that knows pop culture on a level that people like us in this room do, Venom's Eddie Brock,
Mhm.
and so
Forever and always.
Yeah, he's Eddie Brock. That's the strongest bond that Venom has had. He's the longest person to carry the mantle. And so you bring in Flash Thompson, you're already going to get people like, wait a minute, what? And Flash went to high school with Parker. And, Eddie didn't really do that. He kind of just, I don't think he did at least.
No, they worked
They
together.
just worked out.
Yeah, they worked at the, So anyway, I don't think he's a villain. He's not on my list, which probably shocks everybody in the room. I love
shock
him,
me at all,
but
'cause
I
I knew
don't
this would be the
see
argument
him
we'd
as a
have.
villain. So I
I'm
just
not gonna lie, I'm
can't
a
do
little
it.
hurt.
I can't do it.
He
I
was
can't
on my
do it.
original
I feel
top
betrayed.
10 list.
No, you're
but
not. You're
I
not
booted
betrayed.
him because I didn't want to do any anti-heroes either.
That's
so.
exactly why
Carnage
he's
was
not
my
on my
6th.
list. Was your 6? Nice.
Yeah.
So we're going. Wait, what are we at now?
We're still on
That was your
3.
three?
That
That
was
my
your 3.
3.
So now we come back.
Oh, back to my 3. My 3 was Doctor Doom.
Ah,
Nice.
So we're not going to me. So I guess that'll go to 2. So 2 goes
My
to
2 is Thanos.
So was mine.
Thanos.
So
All right,
who's
and
your-
your
so
number
I'll
2.
go.
Justin's back.
All right, but because it's very rare that you see like heroes who turn into villains and then have a good story.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of comes from that the Doom story and the Magneto story that we were just talking about. It's Reed Richards, the ultimate Reed Richards, called The Maker.
Mm-hmm.
Because originally that crappy Fox movie that we just got with Fantastic Four, like that was inspired from this.
Yeah, didn't see a frame of it.
Don't waste your life
yeah.
watching
Yeah,
it.
we're going to at some
Not
point.
yet.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
so awful. But it was kind of portrayed from that. Like he was kind of a disappointment to his father, but he wound because his father favored Ben Grimm because he wanted Reed to be like an athlete and all this other kind of bullshit. And Reed was like, "Well, I'm really smart, so you gotta, deal with it, Dad. Deal with it." So he he winds up fucking with time travel and like he winds up getting a wormhole to work. He pushes an apple through, and then they start trying it with people, and then that's where the problems kind of arise.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mad scientist vibe.
basically,
Do you mean the high school project that he did at the beginning of Fan Four Stick?
yeah, that exact same one. But he winds up becoming a villain. Was so hurt about his father, like disapproving of him that he had his father killed.
How dare you do science and build a time? What is it?
Learn how
Build
to
a little
transcend
wormhole.
time
and
nonsense.
space.
How dare you be a brilliant scientist? You gotta go out there and play sports.
You gotta
What do you
take
go
on the
outside
family
and
business.
beat the shit out of that guy, Daryl, in the mail? Wow. Okay,
wow.
Dad. I
Damn,
kind of
Dad.
thought this wormhole thing was like never done before. He's
I
like,
guess I'll
"Just
beat
shut
the
up,
shit out of
nerd.
the
Go grab me
mailman."
a beer, and he throws a full one at him. What was wrong with that
Puts a
one?
little
Go get me
wormhole on the
another
side
one.
table. Just Are you proud of me now, Dad?
Oh my God.
It's supposed to be a Miller Lite.
Spoiler alert: his dad was not proud, and
You don't say.
yeah. So he wound up becoming a villain. It was just you should definitely look into the character.
Yeah,
He's definitely one of my favorites.
I'm gonna have to.
Gets
So-
the Infinity Gauntlet at some point, et cetera, et cetera.
Infinity Gauntlet has played a lot of parts in a lot of people's stories.
Yeah.
Especially the Illuminati.
Yeah.
So
He formed the Dark Avengers, which was also kind of dope. It was like him, Hulk, who like Ultimate Hulk is. He's such a wild card. Like he's either good or bad. You can't really tell. You just know he's gonna like transform and fuck some shit up. You're like, this
Yeah.
could work out in our benefit, or it could.
Or it could
ruin
not.
everyone's life.
Or they could kill us.
Yeah.
So it was like him, King the Conqueror, Quicksilver, and a brainwashed Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
And he like formed the Dark Avengers, and he was the head of that.
I like how the Ultimate Universe was supposed to be and was intended to be the more simple version of the universe.
Yeah.
But every time I hear you talk about it, I'm like, this is deeper and deeper and crazier. And sometimes he's a hero, sometimes he's a villain, sometimes he does. I'm like, oh my God, I can't read this.
It wasn't like just because the Ultimate Universe. Like I just like really, really messed up stories usually, especially with Marvel writes them because like they can either be amazing or crap.
Yeah.
But the amazing ones hit a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So your number 2 is just the Ultimate version?
Yeah, fuck
Of
Reed Richards
course.
normally. I don't give a shit about Doctor Doom all day. What do you mean?
There we go. All right.
There we go.
It comes out.
There was a little pain in your eyes when you looked over. Oh, okay.
On to the next topic.
Okay. Well, fuck Reed Richards.
I saw John Krasinski just like an interview.
I am excited for that.
Well,
I'm really
yeah.
excited
I
for
can't
So,
wait.
girls, don't poop, but let's get your number 2, Megan.
Thanos.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, we've already been there. So
That was a quick one.
Forgot about that.
yeah,
Quick
we
poop.
already discussed
Typical
him,
woman.
so-
I'm just kidding, ladies. You can poop as long as you want. Okay, and number 1 for Justin was Venom,
that. Yeah.
and we're going back to Loki to talk about Loki
Yeah.
for number 1. Who was your number 1? Your number 1 was
Magneto.
Oh, my number 1
Are you
was
the-
not on anybody's list.
Okay, I'm
Let's
so
hear it.
intrigued by this. Let's
I know.
Let's
who
give this the
it
grand
is.
finale. Like
She does know who it is.
make it good.
My
Kang
number
the
1
Conqueror.
is
Oh,
the reason he's on my honorable mention list. But the reason he's number 1 is what I said at the very beginning. Would I want to face this individual at any time?
Maybe.
Hell to the no. Mine is Cletus Cassidy, Carnage.
Solid.
Number one. That dude just likes to kill for the sake of killing.
Yeah.
And if he focuses in on you, it's a wrap.
You're done.
Unless you've got some form of mystical powers to help you, Carnage doesn't care. Carnage doesn't care about getting caught. Carnage doesn't care if
Really
the cops
doesn't.
show up. Carnage doesn't care who shows up. He's kind of like, oh, I'll kill you too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's that lady that complains at Walmart and all the people start paying attention and she starts matching everyone's energy until they've got the store owner down there. That's
Karen.
Carnage.
Karen Carnage.
Aaron Carnage.
That's right.
Yes.
And it is
Can somebody
specifically...
Photoshop that haircut on Carnage?
Somebody please do that.
Yes.
And, you know, the Cletus Cassidy specific. I know Norman Osborn's had the Carnage symbiote.
I was
and
about
a lot
to
of
say
people
that.
have had it. There was a young lady who's had it before. I can't remember her name. Haven't read her story. But Cletus Cassidy's just like, he's so excited about the fact that he is ready to kill you.
Yep.
And he doesn't need a reason.
No.
Like in his
And so, like, in
His
Absolute
reason is
Carnage...
because he wants to.
Yeah, in Absolute
care.
Carnage, right now, the symbiote god, Null, shows up. And what does he say? Oh, shit, I like this Carnage guy. He basically says, Carnage, you're number one for me, buddy. You take care of everything.
Wow.
And Carnage is like, with fucking pleasure, buddy.
such an insane story.
It really
Has
is.
that wrapped up yet, or is that still going?
It is spider-webbed from the beginning. But yes, it has wrapped up.
Technically.
And I have
Is
not
this Clone
seen...
Saga all over again, where it just
Yeah, right.
goes 4 years
So
and
what
everywhere?
he's doing in that one is he's ripping the symbiote gene out of people's spines,
I remember you telling me
and
this.
he's creating a codex because people aren't worthy of symbiotes. So he's taking that from everyone and giving it back to Null to create this ultimate symbiote. And I mean, I don't think I've ever seen him be truly like afraid of somebody, except for a part in Absolute Carnage, and that's when the symbiote reaches out and touches Bruce Banner. He touches Bruce Banner, and then this green pulse comes through, and he's like, "Oh, what was that?" You know what I mean? And then it kind of pops off because Venom goes, "That's right, I'm gonna jump on him, and then we're gonna fight." And so he doesn't even win that. You know what I mean? Like, Carnage is just such a flood. He's so overwhelming, and it's like you're not gonna get somebody like certain bad guys. Like, honorable mention list for me, Kingpin.
He's
You
on
know
my
what I mean?
honorable mention list,
Kingpin
too.
is like, I can't really be caught seeing all this bad press or, doing all this and being seen doing it. Some villains are kind of like that. Like, the cops are coming, let me get rid of this. Carnage is the antithesis to that.
He runs
like,
headfirst into it.
Bring more people.
Carnage,
I
you
need
kill
this.
these people? Yeah, did it?
You kill these people? Yeah, and I also drank their spinal fluid. What's yours taste like? There's nobody that he's like, hey, we're buds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, He really doesn't. He doesn't discriminate
Because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't need anything. He doesn't care.
That's a true villain right there. When he's just like, oh,
And that, to me, I was just like, there's no reasoning there.
Just a total psychopath.
There's no way you're negotiating with Carnage. He's going to be like, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And then you're going to sit there and go, uh-huh, uh-huh, after you're dead.
you were saying.
Yeah, and we've talked about this before. If Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy and Carnage doesn't kill over 100 people in this movie, it is a disservice to the character.
It really is.
He needs to, like, National Guard and we still can't handle him kind of thing.
So what are the milestones you want to see from this character in the movie? Like what? Obviously killing a ton of people.
Clearly killing.
It can't just be killing. If it's Carnage, you haven't found a body and go, oh, Carnage killed this guy. You find gore and go, oh my God, what happened here? And you find out later that Carnage just ripped their face off because he thought it was funny. You know what I mean? If you don't show that level of gore and intensity and real panic in Venom and all involved, then to me it's a disservice to the character.
Then it's just a red Venom.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So do you think Sony's going to commit to this and really go full bore into this?
I think with Logan coming out and having such great success and Deadpool coming out as R and having such great success and them starting to see that fans really want what they want and they want to see
the
the
true
service
characters.
done to these characters. And you, not only that, but you go out and you cast somebody like Woody Harrelson, who's a world-class actor, and I don't think Woody's going to say, yeah, I'll sign on. He'll be just kind of scary. I think Woody's going to be like, let's dive into this
Yeah.
thing, man. Let's make him
Let's
a
fuck shit up.
maniac.
Yep.
My only worry is having an A-class actor, like you said, is it's going to be more Woody than Carnage the entire time. That's my only concern.
I think
a weird
natural born
FaceTime.
killers. I think natural born killers. I think Woody Harrelson is going to really enjoy it. You might be right. He's one of those actors that when you see somebody, you can't think of anybody but him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That is the
There's
hard
certain-
part. That was
there's
the
certain
jarring
actors,
part
yeah,
about
that can-
seeing that end credit scene. I'm just like, oh, I'd rather you cast somebody unknown but very talented.
Yeah.
But take what you can get.
Right.
But I mean, there's been times that we've seen,
Always get what you want.
and I mean, like the same thing.
people die? You just might
What you need.
I wouldn't say that Josh Brolin is quite as iconic as Woody Harrelson,
Mhm.
but I see Thanos when he plays
Yeah.
Thanos.
You're
and
also-
the fact that he plays, I know,
CG rendering too, which
but still,
I
but
wasn't
the
mad.
fact that he also does Cable and you can mentally separate them
Yeah.
means he's
Yeah,
doing a
that
good.
is
So
a really good sign.
I'm really hoping that it'll be kind of the same thing with Woody Harrelson being Carnage. Is that you? Of course, you're like, oh, this is Woody Harrelson, but I'm hoping that you lose him in Carnage.
If
Like
the
I'm,
writing is done well, you get
You
lost
will.
in that character.
Yep, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, and not because I don't like Woody Harrelson, but if he's done right, then you will lose the actor because he's doing so good.
I had no idea Josh Brolin was Thanos. at
Are you
first.
serious?
Yeah, I had no idea that was
That's
him.
cool.
wow, that's huge. I would. You do not read anything on it, or
No, that was like, I'm not going to spoil anything. I just want to see this movie. And
Nice.
then
Good.
when Deadpool came out, I was like, oh my God, he was Thanos.
yeah,
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that takes takes talent
so-
right there.
Honorable mentions. We've
We're not
got
talking
some
about Loki.
names out here. Oh, let's talk
Screw
about
me,
Loki.
right? Jesus.
Well, sure. I mean, just wait till they leave.
Okay, we can.
No,
We're gonna have
too
to
much.
wipe down this table.
Turn my sound down. Sorry. Okay, let's talk about Loki. You're number one.
No, let's move on.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Yeah, I
didn't
was gonna
research
say
for
it,
5
but I
hours.
love.
Not just
Yeah,
saying.
right.
Well, he was also on your list, so I definitely want to talk
Yeah.
about him since
Let's
you know,
talk.
You let
Make
me
eye
skip
contact
it.
with me the whole time.
That's
'Do it.
1, 2, 3,
Oh.
go.
Well, I guess Megan's not coming back to the podcast. Jeez.
okay. So Loki. So I would say he's probably the weakest on my list. But that obviously isn't the point. But I am very, like I said, I'm very driven to the badassery and the strength and that sort of thing. But Loki for me was number one, pretty much regardless of who else I found. Like Loki is my favorite, hands down. I don't know if it's been that way because of my love for Thor and Thor's story and his obvious connection to that. But I think that, the more I read about him, it didn't really matter what I found. Loki was going to be in my number one. I mean, that's probably how you felt about Venom.
Oh,
and-
yeah.
And, whatever.
like when I made the list, I was like, I already know who number
Yeah,
one is.
and,
Let's
and I was
start
kind of the
from 2.
same. And there was a part of me that was like, okay, I'm going to pick my top 5 and I'm going to put them in order of badass. And I was like, well, no, because Loki's number 1 and he's clearly like number 5 on this list as far as strength and shit goes. But what I really like about him, as far as what I read outside of him just being my favorite, is obviously he hatches the plot to destroy Thor, and as far as the MCU goes, he inspires all the great heroes to actually become the Avengers. So that's kind of where it starts, is with him, which I thought was really cool. Obviously his powers are really cool, but just him, he made a deal with death to assure that nothing, even beheading, would kill him. I mean, shape-shifting and
Magic and mysticism.
traveling. Yeah. I mean, aesthetically, he's the coolest in my opinion.
No,
I
making a
think
deal
that
with death. When you say that, is he talking about Hela, ruler of the underworld, and all that kind of stuff?
See, the
Does he
deal-
make a
That
deal
is
with
a
his
good
own daughter?
question.
Because he tricks her into taking that job, because that job was for him. He was supposed to be ruler of the underworld, and he tricks his own daughter
I think it's-
into doing
it's
it.
probably
I think it's the
Mistress
death before.
Okay.
Mistress
Yeah,
Death.
yeah. Because I mean,
Mistress
obviously,
Death, yeah.
Because the deal with dying in Marvel Comics is like, if you die normally, not in battle, then Mistress Death takes you. But if you die in battle, then you're an Asgardian, you go to Valhalla, and that's where Hela comes
Right.
in.
Yeah. So there's nothing else I really need to say on him. He's just my favorite, and he's cool. And
Tom
and-
Hiddleston did a great job.
Yeah,
with him.
he definitely like solidified him being my favorite. I mean, obviously, like I said, I've always liked Thor, pretty much regardless of my involvement with Marvel characters and things. I've always liked him the most out of all of them. So I was immediately drawn to Loki because he was a major villain for him, and just because he looks cool and has been portrayed a lot heavier than like the Enchantress and the Frost Giants and all that other shit. So Loki is definitely my number one.
I like the horns.
Yes, that's
I
just,
like.
he just looks so cool.
I thought he was the best part of Thor: The Dark World.
The whole movie
Yeah.
was garbage.
Except for him.
You're right.
Trash,
except for him.
What a
for him.
mean thing to say about him. He's the
Except for him.
best part of the worst MCU movie.
The worst MCU movie is the first.
It's the only
is
reason
either
that movie wasn't
Daredevil or
thrown
the first
out.
Fantastic Four movie, or Fan Four Stick, as you're calling it.
We're talking about
That's
the
how they wrote it in the
Avengers
poster.
storyline.
But the part that I loved is when they're fighting and they're getting ready to go meet Malekith and all them, and he's like, I don't trust you, and Loki just looks at him and says, "Trust my rage."
Yep.
As soon as he said that, I was like,
Oh yeah.
let's get it, boy.
Yep.
Because you knew it. You knew that Loki, in typical Loki fashion, when Thor comes down after their mother's dead, he's like, get rid of this. I know you're pissed. I know there's something wrong with you. Get rid of the illusion. And Loki's like, fine. Drops it, and there he is. He's ruined his room. He's showing himself.
Yeah.
And he really is, you could tell, just enraged, like, let me out of this effing cage. We'll drop the squabbles. We'll drop the fact that I tried to take over the earth. I don't care. All I care about is getting after Malekith.
I do like how Thor glossed over that.
Yeah.
Completely.
And so, but for him to be like, don't you worry. We might get back into it, but I'm getting this dude. And the fact that he really did show more depth as a character, because in the first one, he's like, Odin, why don't you love me? And I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I can deal with that. And then, he's taking over the world. Oh, this should be mine, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, this is a kind of a petulant child, the way he's throwing tantrums with some of this stuff. He's doing it in a boss-ass way, and he's being himself. But when he really breaks down those barriers in Thor: The Dark World, I was like, this is great. And then, I don't know, that solidified him to me as a great character, is because you were able to see a lot more than a lot of, let's think of Steve Rogers. You see one side of Steve Rogers. You don't really see him very down on his luck in a lot of his movies. You see him in bad situations. You see him in stuff that's insurmountable, but you don't really see a different side of him, to me. Only when he's looking at General Ross and going, well, we'll fight you too. I was kind of like, that's a Captain America thing, against all odds. Yeah, sure, he's not fighting with the good guys, but this is Captain America. So for Loki to always want to be extravagant and always want to be better than Thor and everybody else, and then to strip that down, I was like, man, this is really good. So I do have a big love for Loki.
I think Hiddleston, or how do I say that?
Hiddleston?
Hiddleston.
Better than what I did yesterday. I was like trying to find
Hiddlebean.
I was trying to find Hiddleston, but I was like, what was his name? Tom Riddle?
This dude was over here looking up Voldemort.
I was so convinced.
I think he did a very good job.
Yeah, so let's
character.
wrap up. One that I was surprised wasn't on anybody's list was Red Skull.
He's my honorable mention.
He was one of my
How many
mentions.
honorable mentions are we mentioning?
I'm only mentioning a couple. I've already mentioned Kingpin,
Thanos.
Red Skull for me.
Red Skull.
Because I knew
for
everybody
sure.
else would have Thanos.
Doc
that's
Ock
why.
was one of mine.
Yeah.
And Apocalypse.
Doc Ock.
Yeah.
You gotta
Doc Ock
read,
was a good one for me.
Have you ever read Superior Spider-Man?
No, but it's
You'll
like on
love
my
it.
it's
You
on
will
my
love
list.
it if you like Doc Ock.
Because I guess the way his art goes is really interesting and intriguing, where he just kind of turns a corner on it. It's like, well, I'm going to be the best Spider-Man there possibly could be,
Yeah.
and he is
he definitely
to a point.
Because
From what I know about it, going into
he
it,
definitely is. Like, he made Peter Parker rich and shit. Like, he bought the Baxter Building. He had his own foundation, but he was just because he was Doc Ock. He was just in Peter Parker's body. But like, he took on the mantle of Spider-Man and he killed villains. Like, he was amazing. He just couldn't really like handle the pressure of being a hero.
is that
like,
where he kind of
couldn't-
cracks towards the end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he couldn't like make the decisions. Like, all right, do I save one? Do I save 1,000? Do I kill this guy? Like, he
Because
kinda,
when
like,
you're a
started to fall
villain, you're
apart.
just
Yeah.
Singular-minded stuff
Yeah.
with a lot of villains. Yeah.
okay.
No, I mean, like,
So it's
you're
moving
right.
higher on my list.
Right. Yeah. That's good. One more for me was Kang the Conqueror.
Kang
Yeah,
is pretty
Kang's
badass.
pretty cool.
Kang's a badass. I like that he's kind of like another one of those guys who goes, no, this is supposed to be like this, and we're going to make it right. He's kind of like the time sheriff. You know what I mean?
The time, yeah.
You know what I mean? You're doing something you're not supposed to be. The first thing that brings him back is Captain America. This guy should have died. None of this should be the way that it is. You guys shouldn't be the Avengers. That guy's supposed to die, so I'm back here to take care of that.
I'm here to take Captain America.
So
Yeah.
watching Endgame in the theater for the first time, they're like, "We're gonna time travel." I went, "Oh no, Kang the Conqueror!" That's the first thing I thought.
Which might lead him into being in the second phase.
Because I feel like that something
would make
about
sense.
the
Because he's
time
like,
jump
no, no,
is
no.
going to wake him up. Or
You
make
guys
him
weren't
realize
supposed
what's
to do
happening.
this, right?
Yeah.
So we might get a flashback to what we've seen already and
Yeah.
how it sparked him. Yeah.
So between Kang and then Loki getting the cube and them changing that past, there's a couple of time-based things going on at the
Stuff's
same
going to
time.
shift. Yep.
I mean, they could always do what they always do in the comics and just have Cable come in and fix everything.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure they will.
Well, now everything's married, so it's going to get pretty crazy. You never know who's going to show up.
Cable versus, I almost said Josh Brolin, Thanos versus Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
A three-way battle.
Josh Brolin, just the actor,
fight.
the A-list actor shows up. He's like, "Hey guys, I was in Goonies." Oh man, well I think that's gonna do it for us. What do we think? Doing good? Yeah, we're gonna
does
fade
it
it in
for
music.
us.
Do we fade it in?
Fade
Fade it in slowly. Oh, there it
It's
is.
coming from the distance. I can feel
See them on the
presence.
horizon.
Everybody, have a wonderful week. It's great to talk to you again. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please reach out to us. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. You can find us under Alter Ego Podcast.
Yeah, we're on
Seriously,
YouTube
though.
now. Check
We're
those
on
out.
YouTube now.
We want to
Yeah.
know your top 5, so share them.
Yeah,
Share
post
them.
it in the comments below of the place that you're
Of
listening
whatever
to this.
you're watching.
Or next to, or above, wherever the comments go.
Paste the comments anywhere. Goodbye.